What's a conspiracy theory that you 1,000% believe in? I'll go first.
Jay-Z is wearing a half wig. I don't know if this conspiracy exists already, but let me create it for you.
Of all the grooming trends in the black community, this one hits a nerve. A man walks into a barbershop bald and walks out with a sharp Crips hairline, topped with a full 360 dreadlock male unit, a man wig. Not as a costume, not as a disguise, just another form of grooming. Or is it? To some, it's confidence restored. To others, it's deception, taboo, a line crossed, likened to a black man wearing a dress. And somewhere between ridicule and reinvention, the rules about black masculinity in the 21st century are being rewritten. Well, kind of. You are tuned in to Melanin Archives. If you're interested in seeing content about black history or just all things black, definitely subscribe because this is the space. This is where it all goes down. Irrespective of gender, when it comes to black people, it's never just as simple as just hair. The earliest records of wigs being worn by men of melanin trace back to ancient Egypt. Hieroglyphs, filigree art, and mummified remains reveal that elite Egyptian men wore elaborate wigs made from human hair, plant fiber, or sheep's wool. These weren't cosmetic fads, they were status symbols. Egyptologist Dr. Joan Fletcher notes, wigs weren't just fashion, they marked a man's role in society. Royalty had distinct hairpieces, a visual language that everyone understood. Wigs served as both protection from the sun and as emblems of spiritual refinement. And Egypt was not alone. Across the West and East Africa, hair, whether natural or enhanced, acted as a living cultural archive. In Yoruba tradition, kings and chiefs wore ceremonial crowns, adorned with synthetic or extended hair. As historian Kabina Mercher writes in Welcome to the Jungle, black hair, more than any other feature, operates as a signifier, deeply embedded with codes of lineage, religion, and resistance. So the question perhaps isn't why black men wear wigs today. The real question is, what happened between then and now that turned an act that once linked to power and identity into a point of controversy? When world power shifted, so did the rules. Colonial systems didn't just redraw borders, they rewrote the codes of beauty, masculinity, and identity. As empires expanded, meanings were recoded. Suddenly, what was once a mark of identity was treated as a mark of inferiority. Ironically, while white colonial officials wore powdered wigs to signal power and civility, the very presence of textured black hair, let alone hairpieces or adornment, was cast as backward. As Dr. Tiffany Gill notes in Beauty Shop Politics, hair became political the moment black bodies were made public property. Grooming wasn't about hygiene, it was about conformity to whiteness. Men were expected to abandon expressions that connected them to their ancestry. In their place, close cropped cuts, clean shaves, grooming that echoed that colonial gaze. Not just to survive, but to be seen as employable, respectable, to be seen as safe. This gave rise to what historian Evelyn Brooks called the politics of respectability. If society wouldn't change its gaze, then black people would change their presentation. The way black men wore their hair became a form of armor. Hair neatly cut, parts defined, beards trimmed, and any deviation, anything that looked too ethnic, became risky. By the late 20th century, the image of a black man in a wig was most visible in a different kind of space. LGBTQ culture, especially drag performance and the underground ballroom scene. Here the purpose was transformation, to create the most convincing presentation of femininity possible. These wigs were precision tools. Lace fronts cut to fit the hairline, adhesive for an invisible blend, styling perfected to withstand stage lights and long performances. Today, many of those same techniques, lace blending, edge detailing, knot bleaching, are all in barbershops for male units. But the context is different. For drag performers, the wig is a part of embodying femininity. For a man restoring his hairline, it's about restoring what he lost. Drag queens and other members of the LGBTQ community still wear wigs today, and for the same purpose, to exude what is perceived as femininity. That visibility is perhaps what helped to cement a public association that a man in a wig is crossing into femininity, an association that largely shapes how male hair units are judged. Hair is more than biology. It's memory, identity, status, and science shows us how deeply it is tied to self-perception. According to the American Hair Loss Association, by age 35, 2/3 of men experience some degree of hair loss. By age 50, that number rises to 85%. A 2019 study in the International Journal of Trichology found that men with visible hair loss reported lower self-esteem, higher social anxiety, and an increased risk of depression. This effect was amplified in communities where appearances is closely tied to respect and to opportunity. For black men, the stakes can be higher. A 2020 report in the Journal of Black Psychology noted, hair presentation in African American men plays a significant role in perceptions of professionalism, trustworthiness, and social belonging. When hairlines fade, it's not just about aesthetics. It can trigger a subtle loss of social currency, impacting dating, careers, and self-image. And for many men, the male unit isn't just about restoring a crisp's hairline. It's about the overall appearance of health, thicker coverage, fuller volume, a richer texture, hair that looks youthful, strong, and well cared for. Yet, because of its public association with femininity, deception, vanity, the choice to restore a head of hair, no matter the reason, comes with an extra layer of judgment. From Pharaoh's courts to colonial courts, to drag balls and modern barbershops, the sight of a man in a wig has carried many meanings: power, prestige, performance, survival. For centuries, hair has been a language without words, especially in the black community. A crown we build strand by strand, sometimes to tell the world who we are, and sometimes to hide what the world wouldn't accept. Today's man unit sits at a crossroad of all of that history. Ancient craftsmanship, colonial politics, cultural rebellion, and a deeply personal fight for self-image. The controversy isn't just about hair. It's about the meaning we attach to it and who gets to decide what that meaning is. And so, a man walks into a barbershop bald and walks out with a full crisp's hairline, topped with a 360 dreadlock male unit. A man wig. Is it just grooming? Is it deception? Or is it something else? Something entirely different? Somewhere between ridicule and reinvention, the rules about black masculinity in the 21st century are being rewritten. Whether the wig becomes a symbol of confidence or it remains a target of ridicule will depend on how we choose to perceive it, how we choose to receive it.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1,000% believe in? I'll go first.
Jay-Z is wearing a half wig. I don't know if this conspiracy exists already, but let me create it for you. Let me lay out the facts. So I stumbled upon this theory years ago when I realized the placement of Jay-Z's bandanas. Take a look, if you will. Anybody who wears wigs can tell you that is the leave out bandana placement. When your leave out is looking crazy, that is where you put the bandana. And that is not the only picture, if you will. Leave out bandana. Leave out bandana. Leave out bandana. So I started thinking like, damn, I was just putting two and two together, and then I decided, let me do some research. So I went on Beyonce's page, and before anybody says anything in this video already, I love Beyonce. I'm not going to get dragged for the beehive. This is specifically for Jay-Z's half wig. But if you notice, the date says March 20th, 2018. Okay, bet. Then I found this photo from 6 months later, September 16th, 2018. Here we see a considerable amount of new growth and the dreaded leave out bandana. 6 months of growth will bring you there? Perhaps. But then I was like, okay, wait a minute. This nigga kind of old. No shade, but he is get a little bit up there. Not old, let's say, but he's starting to age. So, looked up his birthday, born in 1969. So, in 2018, okay, he's born in the end of 1969. Let's say this man is 48 years old, gonna turn 49 years old. Notice the thickness of the hair. Even here. Hairline has yet to recede. Not hating, I'm just saying, interesting. And there's no perceptible thinness. In fact, it looks quite full. So I had to research further. So I looked up, when do men usually start balding? Again, just for research purposes. And by age 50, approximately 85% of men will have significantly thinner hair. That's what they're saying. I didn't say that. I just Googled the question. So now the question remains, do we think in the year of our Lord 2021, a 51-year-old man not only has the thickness of hair and the fullness and the hairline, but also no grays? I leave it to you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Melanin Archives. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely learned a lot doing my research to bring this content to you. So if you like the content, if you found something interesting, or you learned something new, be sure to share it in the comment section, share it with someone that you know, and I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this one. I know you guys are usually pretty intense in the comment section, so I'm bracing myself. But let me know what you guys think, and stay tuned because more is definitely on the way. Shalom, shalom, and most importantly, shalom.